Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In this week's episode of the show, we have lots to cover. We're going to talk about the Bank of Canada's next rate announcement happening in the next week on September 6th. Are they going to raise the rates? Are they going to hold them? What that's going to mean for the real estate market. I'm also going to dive deep into condo investments in Vancouver. I did a video earlier this year where I talked about downtown Vancouver being severely undervalued, and I got a lot of comments back and forth on it. I want to specifically talk about condo investments in the Metro Vancouver area, what I'm seeing as opportunities, how I weigh out what are good opportunities as well. Real quick before we get started, if this is your first time to the channel, my name is Hassan. I'm a real estate agent in the Vancouver area, and I make educational real estate content to help you on your real estate journey. I also make content designed to help you make your move in and around Vancouver. So if that sounds interesting to you, you want to talk with me one-on-one, you can book me for a free call in the Calendly link below and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss next week's video. All right, so hopping right into it, we're going to start with the Bank of Canada rate announcement, September 6th. Where do we stand? The market is suggesting that the Bank of Canada is going to hold rates, about a 20%, just over a 20% chance that they're actually going to raise rates once again. There's a couple of pieces of data that kind of conflict with each other in terms of what the bank might do. We had inflation rise in the last report month over month, but at the same time, we're having the unemployment rate rise as well. And that sounds like a bad thing, but when the Bank of Canada is trying to put a grasp on the economy, they're actually looking for that unemployment rate to rise slightly to show that their earlier rate raises are actually having an effect. So we are seeing that. Like I said, inflation did rise month over month. I mentioned in a previous video that, from here and going through the rest of the year, it's going to be very tough for us to have inflation remain steady or start dropping because of something called base year effect, where we're essentially comparing against last year. If you recall, we peaked out inflation last year in the summer months, started to cool heading towards the fall and winter, just like the weather, I guess you could say. And because of that, this year as well, we're going to be comparing against a bit lower of a number. So to keep our year over year or the base year effect metric lower is going to be quite difficult. I personally, I hate giving predictions, but I think at this point, I'm predicting that the Bank of Canada is going to hold in terms of real estate and real estate values. We've seen, in my opinion, a bit of a plateau of prices being propped up by inventory, by low levels of inventory. Are we going to see more inventory hit in the fall? I mean, definitely if we see a rate raise in September, we'll probably see some more investors list. But no matter what we see in terms of new listings, when we see total listings start creeping up, the good quality listings just keep moving, and they keep moving quick, and they're selling. So that's what's happening on the Bank of Canada side. In next week's video, I'll be able to do an update on what actually happened and what that might mean for the real estate market. Like I said, I want to dive into condos and condo investing. I did a video earlier this year where I said downtown Vancouver condos are severely undervalued. A lot of messages back and forth on that video, both on this platform and Instagram. And look, a lot of people in this industry, and even people that work in the industry, they for some reason, they have a conceptual feeling that condo investments are a bad idea. Condos make bad investments. And every time I hear this, I truthfully, I get a bit of a chuckle, because usually when you hear this type of conversation in the market or just with general people, oftentimes that sentiment is coming from people that have invested in real estate for a long period of time. They may have a lot of holdings themselves. They may be predominantly into single family investments. It's one of those things where if you have a lot of capital to work with, you have a lot of money, you're a bit more of a seasoned investor, yes, of course, you're going to want to go for a detached home. But even beyond that, you're going to want to go for a multifamily building, something that generates solid cash flow. Of course, I would never sit here and say that condos make the best investment out of all real estate classes out there. But I'm a big believer in the condo investment, both in pre-sale and resale, depending obviously on what price you're going to get it at. So yeah, if you're a seasoned investor, you're going to probably lean towards something that's more capital intensive, a single family home that has the ability to get rezoned to multifamily over the years. That's usually a slam dunk investment. Again, it does take a lot more capital to get into that. oftentimes with the way rental rates are today, while you're waiting for that rezoning, you're definitely not cash flowing. So you're feeding this detached home or this larger property. So there's risk on that level as well. The arguments I hear about condos not being a good investment is they don't rise in value as significantly as detached homes over time, because detached homes obviously have a portion of land there. That is true, but if you look at condo prices over the last 10 to 15 years, they are steady Eddie. They continue to rise. And in my opinion, condo, it's not even an opinion, condo is the future of our region, right? Everyone is going to be moving and shifting towards condos. We're going to start seeing a lot more micro condos, specifically in downtown areas, heavy urban areas. We're going to see smaller condos as well. So if you have a 500 or a 600 square foot one bedroom condo, that's going to be deemed a luxury to have that kind of a size. There's talks about removing balconies, not having balconies on new builds in Vancouver. They're thinking of getting rid of them entirely. So if you have a condo with outdoor space, again, you have some luxury there. These are all things that are going to propel values upwards in the condo segment. So do condos make a bad investment? Absolutely not. And especially if you're someone that's buying this as your first property, it's going to be your principal residence. We have obviously the capital gains exemption with your principal residence. So you have some benefits there. If you're buying brand new, you can sometimes avoid paying the GST depending on what the purchase price is, and you're going to move into it. So there are some advantages in going down the condo route. I'm going to show a couple examples here of people that did insanely well when they purchased condos. And the first one I'm going to show, I'm going to pop it up on the screen here. In Brentwood, this was Tower 2 of amazing Brentwood. Now, one of the things about pre-sales is it's very tough to track down what the actual sale price is of a pre-sale, because it's not often, very unlikely actually, to be on the MLS. So as realtors, we can't just go on and search up, what that sale price was, but after the fact, we can pull up what's called a tax report, which is what you're looking at here. And the tax report is going to show me, it's going to show us when a property was purchased and what it actually was sold for. It shows me some other data here as well, such as property taxes and such. But if we look at this first one here, you'll see right at the bottom here, this was sold in 2020 for $310,000. Now, a quick thing on the date here, this is again in Brentwood. This was not the date that this product was purchased. So it's not as if they bought it in 2020, sold in 2021 for $590,000. They bought this, 3 or 4 years prior to that 2020 date in pre-sale. This is showing when the sale actually registered. But when it registered, 310, sold in 2021 for $590, almost doubled up what they paid, likely in about 6 years or so. So doubled up what they paid. And the other thing we have to keep in mind on that one is that they didn't put $310,000 down when they bought this pre-sale. They put 25% down. So in terms of a cash investment, they put $75,000 down approximately. They sell it for almost $600,000, say 6 years later. That's an incredible return. That's 7 or 8 times the cash that they put in. Right now, this doesn't happen all over the place all the time. Of course, there's some timing involved in it, but a lot of it comes down to which neighborhood and which area it's being purchased in. I'm going to show another example here. This one is in New West, River Sky. So the other building, I live in River Sky 1. This is River Sky 2. This one, 2019, $353,000. So this one didn't do quite as well. Sold in 2021, again for $590,000. Keeping in mind on that 350, they likely only put 25% down as well. So all this goes to say that with a condo investment, you're putting in less capital. It's less capital intensive. A lot of people will say that, well, you also have less control. You got to deal with the strata, and what if the strata wants to do things with the asset that you don't want to do? And that's true. That's something that has to be factored in with condo investing, is you have a little bit less control. But at the same time, there are things that can happen with detached homes that affect your value as well, that are out of your control. I can talk about a previous client I had that purchased a really nice home, and they buy the nice home, and a couple of years later, almost right across the street, the area gets rezoned for townhomes. And it's now a scenario where the home is pretty much going to overlook townhomes. And when people are looking for luxury homes, they're typically looking for a luxury subdivision. They're not looking for an area that has, townhomes right there as well. So, that's not exactly going to help the value of the home. That affects the value of the home as well. So there are things that can happen, risks with any type of real estate. But those are two examples I showed you in two different cities. Now, pre-sale versus resale, I've done a lot of videos on this. I will link to them throughout this video. What it all comes down to, the pre-sales are great for people obviously who may not have the means for the mortgage today, but at the end of the day, what it comes down to is what is the price you are paying for that pre-sale compared to what you could get a resale property for in that same neighborhood today. That's what it all comes down to. So when it comes to pre-sale, you're always going to pay more for it than a resale property in the same neighborhood, but by what percentage? So I have a certain percentage that I look for. I need to see that level of a difference. And if that percentage is higher than my threshold in terms of purchasing that pre-sale, myself and my clients, we walk away. I advise to walk away, or we look into different areas, because if that's too high of a threshold, you're never going to catch up to that price. So that pre-sale investment may not be a good investment. And that's the other thing that I'm seeing in the market. Like I mentioned off the top, where are the opportunities in the condo market? They are definitely in the assignment space right now. So there are a lot of people that purchased condos, townhomes at pre-sale. They bought them thinking that they were gonna get lower mortgage rates. Obviously, mortgage rates have increased significantly. Home values on some of them have not increased. So what I'm seeing on these assignments are people are selling them for the same price that they bought them for 3 or 4 years earlier, or they're even selling them at a loss because they need to complete quickly. So there are a lot of assignments that are being sold at very good deals, but the thing is, the typical realtor will not even have access to viewing these assignments because these assignments are not hitting the MLS. So realtors who are only searching the MLS for properties, they're not even seeing this secondary assignment market where the deals are actually happening. Myself, I'm in countless WhatsApp, Slack, Facebook, tons of groups, real estate groups, to the point where I have to turn my notifications off at times because I'm getting buzzed with all of these assignment deals and property deals that are all under the radar that not all the realtors are aware about. So they are out there. If you're looking for a condo deal right now, that's where I'd be looking, and I'd make sure to reach out to an agent that has access to all of these properties. If you want information on these properties, you can always send me a text. I can add you to my list so you have them. But that's where I'd be looking right now, is that assignment space, and people that are, unfortunately, they're unable to complete. They need to get rid of the property. They're just trying to get their deposits back. They will sell at a loss at times, or sell, much lower than what you're seeing out there on the MLS, where there's, limited inventory. And as we've talked about plenty of times on my channel, inventory is very low, but again, there's this assignment inventory, there's this pre-sale inventory that doesn't quite hit the market. So it is available out there, but making the decision, if you're making a condo investment, between pre-sale and resale is increasingly important. And again, if you're working with a realtor who is pushing you on a pre-sale project, and you ask him or her and you say, what is resale selling for right now in the neighborhood at a price per square foot perspective? If they can't answer that question immediately, they're just trying to push you on a project. They're just trying to get a sale. They should only be coming to you with a pre-sale opportunity if they at the same time can tell you what resale is selling for. And again, they may have their own threshold. If they're not coming with that data, they obviously don't. If they are coming with that data, they may have a threshold where they suggest to walk away. I have a certain number that I look for, and we walk away, we look for other neighborhoods that may be of better value. So summing everything up here, are condos a bad investment? Absolutely not. Condos, I've been buying and selling condos essentially for 17 years now, perhaps more so in the last few years. I've been purchasing more condos, so I'm heavily involved in that space. So I know what I'm talking about. I see a lot of clients as well that do quite well on condos. They're kind of a legacy type of investment, something that you're going to buy. You're going to have a tenant come in and pay off that mortgage. You perhaps are going to pass that down to family members in the future. Maybe down the road, you're going to sell that as part of your retirement plan. That's what the Vancouver or the Metro Vancouver condo is there for. And if you're concerned about condo growth and condo price growth, my opinion is the price floor is set at that lower level of the 1 bedrooms and the 2 bedrooms. That floor is set, and as we flood more people into the country, as the federal government miscounts up to 1 million temporary residents, this just came out this morning, up to 1 million temporary residents that remain in the country. So even our lofty immigration numbers, they're completely off. They're understated significantly. Rental market is going through the roof. Federal government is focusing now on strictly rental housing. They're going to incentivize the heck out of developers to build rental housing. That gap between those that own real estate and those that rent, it's just widening. And that condo, that resale condo, it's going to be a bit of a limited quantity. People think, oh, well, what about inventory? There's going to be so many units coming up, etc. It's all getting gobbled up. All of the inventory is getting gobbled up, and our population is just going to continue to grow through immigration. So in my opinion, I don't worry about any of that stuff. For me, it's accumulation. It's making sure that, you know, I have my piece of that real estate as we move into the future. So of course I can secure a retirement or whatever plans I may have in the future. So there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. If you did, hit the like button, because what that does is it takes the video, it sends it out to more people. They can learn from it as well. And like I mentioned off the top, subscribe to this channel. I put out videos every week just like this one. And lastly, if you're in the Vancouver area or the Fraser Valley and you want to talk about your own real estate situation with me one-on-one, you can book me in the Calendly link below, or you can just send me a text, give me a call, shoot me an email, whatever's easiest for you. I would love to chat with you, but outside of that, thanks for taking the time to watch this video, and I look forward to seeing you in next week's show.